Are we inside the latest? Why don't you want to be in the middle?
Sure.
All right, we're live on YouTube on Coffin Comics TV.
Just try not to take off anyone's heads.
We appreciate it, or at least until the end of the panel.
Yeah. Maybe it might leave more suspense that way.
So we'd like to welcome Sapphire Nova, who has spent the last couple of panel sessions on Coffin Comics TV, becoming Lady Death. And how was that experience?
It was wonderful. A lot of the fiends chimed in. They actually got to build a Lady Death today. They actually got to choose what I was wearing today.
Wow.
So,
Lady Death's not used to giving people choice.
I know. This is, by the fiends for the fiends.
Hell yeah, that's right. Well, welcome. We're in what is normally the Coffin Comics shop, and we're going to continue our panel, and we're going to see if we behave in Lady Death's eyes. If not, it's off with our heads.
Or maybe even if you behave.
Okay.
Beautiful. So we're in the middle of talking about the Infinity Verse. Coffin Comics Infinity Verse. And we've delved into that. What kind of comic books were influencing you when you were brewing this idea up?
Well, I think I really have a lot of love and joy for a melange of material, but I would say my formative ages of comic book collecting were about 1974 to 1978. Now, I've read and collected comics ever since then. It was before Billy was born, but long before he was born. But what I really loved about the Marvel comics of that time were that supernatural characters, things like the Son of Satan, Satana, Ghost Rider, Brother Voodoo. They're really technically horror characters, but they were behaving anti-heroically. And for me, that was a thrill, because they were not really straight-laced characters. Also, as a fan of horror movies, they really spoke to me. So that's why I'm happy to announce here that next year, in August, as part of Lady Death Chapter 14, we're going to have a spin-off book as part of the campaign, which is called Lady Death Coffin Verse 1975.
Wow, you're here first.
So the threat of Insurrectus might be so devastating at an intergalactic level that we might go to different universes. In one of these universes, it's 1975. And all of the characters that we have actually introduced through the Stephen Butler and Marat Michaels homage covers exist. So Captain Death, Lady Strange, they all exist. And this threat will come to that arena, and they're going to have to rise up and fight against. So it's kind of goofy, but it's very comic booky.
Wild. It's wild. Yeah. Do you want to get into any of the other Coffin titles and beyond?
Why don't we? What I also say about 75 is it allows us to have like Dirty Harry-like characters, or Pam Grier Coffee-like characters, Kung Fu characters, grimy New York stuff, a lot of crazy horror characters. That was just a fun time. So the reason why I feel some sort of security in doing it is that our Lady Death storylines and stuff do well enough that it allows us to indulge this completely goofy desire to do a story like that. I do hope people will enjoy it.
I think they will. And listening to Brian talk about this and the enthusiasm, because it just lights up when he starts talking about these ideas, it's infectious, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. In fact, you've gotten really ambitious in that you're stretching these ideas out to other books in the Coffin Comics line.
Let's go there, man. So I'll tell you what, let's talk a little bit. So Lady Death Chapter 12,
right?
Whatever comes out of that, now we're jumping in and we're starting to talk about Coffin Comics 2021. 2021, and you and I are like, we're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
We stay way ahead.
That's kind of how this works in this business. It's so interesting that we are way ahead in the storyline. You almost have to take a minute and think where everybody else is and reading the stories. But in 2021, Brian has thought of the Infinity Verse infecting the other Coffin comics in a way that we haven't seen before.
Yes, that's true. So what you mean by that is the Lady Death story, Chapter 13, is the spine, but we're actually doing La Muerta. Is that what we're talking about? La Muerta Chapter 7. La Muerta Chapter 7 is actually going to tie into this giant, quote-unquote, crossover storyline. And look, I get it. Some of these companies exhaust these types of storylines. But this one is a love letter to Crisis on Infinite Earths, Secret Wars, the simple ones, the ones in the beginning. And I'm letting you know that in 2021, we're going big. We're crossing over. Everyone's involved. And then after 2021, we ain't doing it again for a while. So enjoy it, because it's a lot. It's like having 15 balls in the air, right? Keeping all the story stuff, but you want to like brushstroke a little bit more about La Muerta.
Yeah, La Muerta. Just to give more confidence to the La Muerta fans out there. Don't worry, it is going to be a little bit of a departure, but she's going to be the same gritty vigilante character. But we're going to introduce a supernatural threat. We talked about this. Joel and I are kind of brewing over this story, and I will tell you some of the influences of that are Attack the Block would be one influence.
That
and
movie,
also,
Attack the Block?
The movie Attack the Block, and also Assault on Precinct 13, which is another John Carpenter.
Awesome.
John Carpenter looms big in my world.
All roads lead back to Carpenter.
All roads lead back to John Carpenter. So it's a storyline that's going to continue La Muerta's gritty vigilante 90s action style, but it's going to introduce even more supernatural elements into it. So we won't lose any of the things that you loved about La Muerta, but we will be crossing over with the Infinity Verse storyline.
It's true, and I will say that the story begins or sets up when the town of Phoenix, where a 400-foot monstrosity starts walking towards Phoenix. So
you're revealing even more than I thought. Wow, so it's going to be wild, but it's a lot of fun. Joel and I are hammering out a storyline that we're sending back and forth with Brian, and it's been just a complete joy looking at it and working on it. It's awesome.
now, folks, our panel is going to go to about 4:45. We'd happy to take some questions and answers if you're interested, whether it's from the sickos, the fiends, the sworn. Welcome to ask us any questions and anything else that we would like to cover. So what we're saying is the evil Lady Death, the evil necromancer Lady Death storyline carries us through 2020. And whatever resolves out of that is going to unfold into 2021, which is an epic storyline. In fact, we've been working so hard to get ahead of this so we could keep, sometimes these giant storylines need drafting and redrafting and redrafting because you want to get every little character get their little moment in the sun. So yeah, we should be like, around another 6 weeks, and now we're on that storyline. But that will really break things open monumentally. And then, so the one thing we haven't talked about is, so we're saying that Lady Death chapter 13 is part of this giant thing. Then La Muerta is part of it. And then there's another Lady Death next August 2021. But then in October is Hell Witch chapter 4. I don't even know we should talk about what's happening. We're not going to talk about it. Sapphire, we can't talk about it.
I don't know. I might have to take some heads for that.
Well, the one thing that I can tell you is that the entire storyline is just about Hell Witch versus Lady Death. So it's the fight comic of the century. Cast your votes, who wins, who loses, what comes out of it. So next year, the battle is on. We are leading up to the rematch we've all been waiting for. Hell Witch Chapter 4 is all about Lady Death versus Hell Witch. The battle of the bitches.
So we have a couple questions.
Okay, questions.
First one, Mike or Brian, have you ever had a character just interrupt your day, like with an idea of a story that just like threw you off, just sidetracked you because they the idea popped up?
Yeah, just to let you know, in my day life, I am a high school teacher. So every once in a while, a Lady Death storyline will hit me while I'm in the middle of teaching kids. It's kind of disturbing to think about beheading. Just kind of the.
I mean, I think that's how a lot of teachers get through their day.
That's true. That's true. How do I? So yeah, in a broader sense, yes. Sometimes those stories interrupt you. It's the weirdest. I think any writer will tell you the weirdest thing will inspiration will hit at the weirdest time. You could be driving on the freeway, You could be anywhere, and just an inspiration for a storyline, or it could even be a line of dialogue, or just how a scene
Watching
works.
a movie kind of like sets you off in another direction.
And somebody could tell you a line or something. So that happens all the time. Where in the regular day, something will happen where your brain just goes in that direction with the story.
You know, for me, I'll have dedicated writing times, but then also I'm going throughout my day and I have different accountabilities, you know, as publisher. But sometimes my wife can attest to this. I appear to be here, but I'm sometimes in another place because I'm like brush stroking. You know, what happens with a storyline too is, you know, you have the character and in a way you kind of move that character through a plot, and then it doesn't work. You're like, okay, back and revise, back, revise, we're back. Oh, that works. Okay, cool. Now I'm there. Okay, now back here. So sometimes I'm in the generally agreed upon reality, and then sometimes I'm not in the generally agreed upon reality.
Trying to figure out your own adventure.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Yeah, that's what my brain's doing. Trying to figure out, you know, what would this one do? That's it.
So will Lady Death gain new powers or abilities down the line? Do you see that happening?
Well, we have discussed this. This actually came up in conversation. I guess the real thing would be, out of the resolution of the storyline this year, what will or won't remain. For us to say what that is, we would be remiss. I think that's one best left cold. We have to keep that in the crypt for now, but do stay tuned. The answer to that question will definitely be revealed on the final page of Lady Death Chapter 12, be offered to you in August and be in your hands in November this year. Happy to answer any of the questions.
Okay, so will evil Lady Death change her wardrobe to strike more fear into the enemies?
Can I strike any more fear into the enemy?
You know, I love with the Lady Death character design, there's no middle ground. You know, people either love it or people are offended by it, which is the perfect reaction. Because I always say, like, if you get it, you get it. And if you don't get it, we don't want you to get it.
We don't care.
We unequivocally could care less. So, yeah, we celebrate it.
If you're not offending somebody, then you're doing something wrong.
That's right. So we clearly didn't answer your question. I think there's always modifications of Lady Death's costume. I like the particular interpretation of the build of Lady Death. This is the Eric Basaluda design top. So big up to Eric Basaluda. Go ass, Eric Basaluda. We're still kind of messing around with we call it the Dark Queen, which is the current one with a lot of the spikes and stuff like that. Yeah. Any other, what kind of time are we at too, by the way?
4:30.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So our panel goes to about 4:45. We're going to take a couple minute break, and then we're going to be back with the How to Write Comics panel.
Here's a random question. Do you still own the character Stigmata? Someone's asking.
I do own the character Stigmata. Thank you for asking about her. She is a really cool character.
Yeah, it's one of their favorites out there. That's why we're bringing it up.
Oh, great. So I was previously published by another company, and under the tutelage of that company, I did 9 years worth of stories. And we own all of the characters, all of the underlying storylines. So you'll notice, the sharp-eyed would notice that the character Wargoth was actually in that reality and exists here. For those keeping a real close eye too, even medieval Lady Death villains, the Eldritch, exist in this timeline. And yet I have said that those particular storylines are not canon. So how do we reconcile that? And that's something one day we will talk about. So yeah, I like Stigmata. Another character I created from that time too is called Hemlock. So he was another cool one, Hemlock. So Stigmata's cool. She's like a blood-based character. Yeah, freaky.
Cool.
Got one, my brother?
I got, has Alex Ross done Lady Death?
No. I'd like him to.
Is Hellwitch versus Lady Death a battle to the death?
I can't reveal the answer to that, but that's a good question. I acknowledge you for the quality of your question, but I cannot answer
That's
it.
a spoiler.
You're spoiling.
I will say this, that they will not be disappointed in the quantity of the fighting. We have gone back and forth. If we can say that much, it will be a fight comic. There will be a dust up for the ages. So
Yes, I mean many years ago. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, if it's a 48-page comic book, we want 30 of it to be them battling.
Yeah.
Fight comic for sure.
And some smack talk.
Yeah, there you
But
go.
I'll start training.
That's right.
So next question: over the next couple of years, will we see new characters or just character development? Phil Locklear is asking.
Hey Phil, how you doing? Yeah, you're going to see more new characters. In fact, I mean, if I'm going to be vague about this, but if we really have our way, the February or March 2021 Lady Death campaign would actually come with brand new spin-off comic books of characters that are existing. So we know that the characters we want to deal with and spin off with, particularly before certain story points hit, will be Chaotica and Lady Satanis. So we are looking to tell those stories. And Johnny Devlin will definitely have his own book. It's either going to come out offered later this fall or into 2021. And there's a lot of characters we're still working on. We haven't even gotten. We talked about space vampires are coming too. So I have a vampire character. It's my my ode to. Again, I still don't think I've seen this type of vampire, so it's an ode to the real industrial goth scene. I think I've built the ultimate female vampire character that we've all been missing. So I do want to get to her, but it's give it a couple years.
Question from Troy. He wants a little bit more insight into Johnny's origin. Is that something you want to reveal yet? Or?
I don't. So what I've said is it's actually have a whole storyline dedicated to it. But again, what I think I could recap and say about Johnny is that he was born inside a cult. It's an apocalyptic cult. He has had zero contact in the outside world. So that means he's not watched TV. He doesn't know what a movie is. He's never driven a car. He's never had ice cream. I mean, in fact, he's fed gruel. He is very innocent. He does come from a place of innocence. Anything you want to say? We've only revealed what we revealed.
That's pretty much it. I love the dichotomy of that completely innocent being just filled with this dark demonic power, and it plays really well through the story, I think.
Yeah, that's something that I've personally in the design, as we look to cast the artist, we've been really holding that he has to be innocent, face is kind of curvy, and you can see in Malevolent Decimation we hit the look. It took a while, but yeah, it's critical that he is innocent because where he's going to go is unbelievable, like remarkably unbelievable in its ferocity. Billy?
Joel asks, how did you and Mike meet?
Oh, that's a great story. Take it. Mike's
I stalked him.
I am here. Say something.
Kind of.
So I work as a screenwriter as well for Roger Corman, who's a low-budget movie, pretty famous movie director, producer, and
in or out?
So I'm a screenwriter. Before working with Brian, I've admired his work for some time, but I also was interested in working with him as a screenwriter because he produced and directed a movie called The Graves, which I had seen on the Sci-Fi Channel. So I saw that he was doing a panel with Garth Ennis, who directed a short with your help.
Yeah, I produced it, and actually Adam Goldfein, who is currently here in attendance, was the director of photography on that. So you want to come in and just say hello? Adam was the cameraman.
Hello.
Not a few words.
Start the camera.
That's
Just start the camera.
So there were some twofold. I was very interested in the short, and also, Garth Ennis fan and a Brian Pulido fan. But I wanted to meet Brian Pulido. One, to maybe strike up some sort of working relationship in movies. But I knew also in the back of my head, I grew up on comic books, love comic books. It's always been my first love. It's so hard even to pick between movies and comics, which I love more. I wanted to work in comics, and we started our relationship working purely in movies, but it's slowly.
It's like, by the way, I'm doing this thing over here. You want to get in on this?
Oh, I had no idea. I don't know. The first one we worked on, we actually wrote a screenplay for La Muerta, and we converted that into a comic book.
Yep.
And that was the first comic book. I think the first published comic book I had alongside Brian, co-writing with Brian, was Lady Death.
Damnation.
Yeah. But the first one we actually wrote together was La Muerta. And it was just an amazing, life-changing dream come true as a comic book fan nerd. So that was our first time meeting.
Yeah, and so we, yes,
At
Jimmy.
4:45, we have scheduled a raffle.
Dang, let's do the raffle in here. So tell you what, you guys keep yapping. I'm going to go grab some raffle action.
All right, we got a fun question for you, Mike. How tall are you?
I am 6'4". But I slouch a lot, so it's kind of hard to tell. I got the MacLean slouch, which is.
Can we
all the
see
pictures.
the full reveal of you? We were waiting earlier.
Are you taller than a refrigerator?
We saw
Yes.
you. We saw her. For those who are coming in late, we saw her from the very beginning. Very revealing. If you want to watch that later, go for it. But wow, it's just amazing to see from the beginning.
The transformation.
Yes.
What's actually really funny here is Saf is 5'4" and Mike's 6'4", and he doesn't look that much taller than her
Yeah.
standing next to her. So you really do slouch a lot.
I'm thinking she has some pretty big heels.
Watch, take like 3 inches.
Yeah,
Big hair.
Yeah, it's the big hair.
And the attitude.
It's
The attitude puts her up there.
It's true.
Yeah.
And she might be at our special January comic book artist battle winners thing.
So do you have any other questions?
Are you ready to raffle?
We should explain to folks on YouTube what's going on here with the raffle.
Absolutely, let's do it. So what we got going here is Coffin Comics Con online. And what that means is we're doing everything that we normally do at a comic book convention here online. Everyone who places an order at ladydeathstore.com, every order is eligible to win today's raffle. And we're doing about 4 raffles a day. We're winding up to a grand prize raffle, which will include a Lady Death La Muerta statue. It's ridiculous. So, up until now, these are all the orders that have been placed, and now Brandy Reese, shipping and fulfillment manager, is going to enter the recent most orders that have come in during the last couple of hours section.
That's 1 hour.
It's been pretty crazy. It's a new reality here. So BR, would you mind mixing that up? And I'm going to have my lovely assistant Julian show everybody what you're going to get. So
some cool stuff we got here.
Julian the hooligan is going to show you what we're going to raffle off. Thank you, Randy.
We have the Sworn print by Mr. Harrigan.
David Harrigan.
David Harrigan. Ooh. Lady Death Rules Volume 1 graphic novel.
150 pages, covers chapters 1 through 3.
Oh, Hell Witch.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? Mega Incentive Edition.
Mega Incentive, Jen Brumhill art.
And then
What is it?
That's
That's what I'm saying.
Then we got a koozie to put next to your jacuzzi, some balloons, a print, stickers, tattoos. I got to get one for my little nephew because he keeps wanting a Lady Death tattoo and he's 3.
So those are items for all of you who have placed an order in Lady Death's store ever since we began the con. What I'd like to do is ask Lady Death to dig deep and to please pick one, and then we'll have Mike MacLean read the name. I'm
Choose
guessing
their
that Lady
fate.
Death can't see the name.
That's true.
All right, we have is it Brandon Branco.
Brandon Branco.
Yeah, baby.
All right, we're gonna put that name with that and get that back to Brandy. Definitely let her know. And now the next one we're gonna do is for our club. So this is the Coffin Cauldron, and it contains the names of all our club members. And I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. And then I'm gonna have Lady Death choose. Make sure everyone's in the Coffin Cauldron. Please choose, and then we'll have Mike MacLean read the name. Oh, whoa! Before we do that, what am I doing? I'm getting ahead of myself. Have my lovely assistant Wolverine or Julian.
I love the curtsies.
Thank you. I practice all day. We have a Hell Beach print.
Yeah, Hell Beach by Elias Chatzudis.
We also have in here.
I don't know if you've noticed, but our raffles have been different the whole time. Whoa!
Yeah.
La Muerta
Vengeance,
Vengeance.
same bang cover.
Yep,
that's
Sun K. Yeah, check that out. It's that
I've
kind of
never
that clown
seen that.
motif.
Oh, whoever wins this is gonna be.
Fine.
Everyone's gonna be jealous.
Oh.
The Scorcher #1 premium.
Oh my
God.
It's gorgeous.
And that is actually also live in the Lady Death store right now.
You can get these.
Yep.
Get them while they're hot. That book is really hot.
Get that little,
And then we got
the goodie pack.
koozie, everything else you're gonna need. Whoever wins this is one lucky person.
I think we have one more raffle tonight, and then every winner actually goes back into the pool, so to speak, and they're eligible for the grand prize. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is have Lady Death please pick, and we'll have Mike MacLean read the names.
The name is William Luther.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
Yeah. Actually, that's it for the raffles for today. Tomorrow is going to be the next raffle.
Okay, cool. So, well, that's it. So, yeah, we'll like rock them out. So, folks, this is what we're going to do now here at Coffin Comics Online 2020. We're going to take a break. We might actually keep the cameras rolling. We're going to be back here at 5 p.m. where you could learn how to write comic books with Brian Pulido and Mike MacLean in Poison Minds in the future. So, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, folks. And big up and thank you to Sapphire Nova as Lady Death. Anything you'd like to say to the fiends?
Sworn.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're going to be back. Little break, and then we're back.